To tell the truth about the ancient Greek past, there is exactly one requirement. You must have seen it happen with your own eyes. The Greeks called this concept energia. It's a standard of storytelling that demands absolute, blinding vividness. An epic poem only carries authority if it projects a clear, bright picture into the mind of the audience. The muses act as the ultimate eyewitnesses, granting the poet authority through their physical presence. As the Iliad states directly, the muses possess total knowledge because they are present to see the events unfold. Mortal men, by contrast, only hear rumors. Traditional epic storytelling cannot function in the dark. It requires divine light to illuminate the battlefield, allowing the gods to witness the fighting and the muses to record it. In the Homeric universe, narrative truth and heroic existence are strictly bound to physical visibility. If a thing cannot be seen, it cannot be an epic. This creates an immediate mechanical problem for the poet. How does an oral tradition obsessed with vivid, sunlit action narrate a journey into the underworld? To the ancient audience, the very name of the realm answers the question. The Greek word eides literally translates to the unseen. This is absolute darkness. It is a space so perfectly concealed that even Helios, the sun god who watches the entire surface of the earth, cannot penetrate its borders. Homer uses Hades as a highly engineered, alternative poetic technology built directly into the structure of his work. By dragging the narrative out of the light and into the dark, the poet creates a sequestered space where the rigid, traditional rules of the heroic epic are completely suspended. We can observe exactly how this technology functions right at the beginning of the Iliad. In the first 5 lines, the text establishes what Hades is actually for. The proem establishes a clear physical divide. Physical bodies decay on the sunlit surface, while their mighty souls filter downward into a dark, subterranean vault. The Greek verb used to describe this downward movement is proiopto, which means to hurl down before one's allotted time. Across the entire epic, that specific verb tracks precisely with narrative fate. A warrior cannot be hurled down into the dark before the tradition allows it. And as the text makes clear, this mass expulsion of souls is the direct result of the will of Zeus. Zeus uses Hades as an active, mechanical sorting system. He is clearing the surface world, closing out a historical era, and physically ending the heroic age. Those souls being pushed underground contain the memories and the identities of a dying generation of demigods. The Iliad does not treat Hades as a spiritual afterlife. It operates as a terminal storehouse, designed to archive the heroic tradition and seal the past out of sight. To test the physical boundaries of this poetic technology, we have to follow Odysseus as he actually descends into this vault in Book 11 of the Odyssey. This map charts Odysseus's departure from the illuminated surface world of the Mediterranean, traveling outward to the dark liminal edge of the Cimmerian people. While he sails in the sunlight, the Olympian gods constantly monitor his movements. They watch his ship, and they frequently intervene in his journey. The Cimmerian edge represents a hard geographical boundary defined by the total absence of sunlight. Once Odysseus crosses this line, the Olympian line of sight is completely severed. From this moment forward, Odysseus is the only witness to the narrative. No god is watching. Because the muses can no longer provide the poet with their divine vision inside the dark, the mortal hero's sight has to replace them entirely. Crossing this threshold isolates the story. It cuts the narrative off from Olympian oversight and bypasses the standard rules of epic poetry. Arriving at the edge creates a physical problem. Without their bodies, the dead are insubstantial shadows. They lack memory and they cannot speak. To extract their stories, Odysseus executes a precise ritual. This schematic shows 5 ingredients: blood, water, honey, milk, and wine pouring into a pit. The mixture functions as a catalyst. When shades drink it, it transfers physical density back into their forms, activating speech. This ritual acts as a necessary mechanical bridge, connecting the invisible world of the dead back to the visible world of the living. The voice this blood grants them is entirely distinct from the objective, high-altitude voice of the muses. Imbued with this sudden physical density, the shades regain their memories, but they recount their pasts from their own localized, deeply personal perspectives. The sacrifice temporarily bypasses the muses, providing exactly enough physical substance for the shades to articulate their own subjective truths. This matrix outlines the structural difference between how stories are told on the surface and how they are told in Hades. It sets muse poetics against Hades poetics. The shade of Agamemnon provides our first test case of this dual structure. On the surface, the narrative treats Agamemnon's assassination as an objective historical tragedy. It's a geopolitical event that defines the heroic age. In Hades, Agamemnon's own account discards that historical objectivity entirely. He focuses bitterly on his wife's betrayal, reducing the fall of a king to a painful domestic murder. The ultimate test of this poetic technology comes when Odysseus summons the shade of Achilles. On the surface, Achilles is defined by his absolute ideological commitment to Kleos, the conscious choice to die young in order to achieve eternal glory. In the Underworld, he delivers a shocking subversion of his own myth. He explicitly tells Odysseus that he would rather be a living serf, working for a poor farmer, than rule as a king over all the dead. Hades strips away the ideological conditioning of the warrior caste. The demand for epic glory evaporates, replaced by a raw, fiercely personal emotional reality. Because the Underworld is completely blind to the gods and removed from living society, it guarantees its inhabitants absolute freedom of speech. This environment functions like the backstage of the epic theater. Away from the blinding spotlight of the muses, the actors drop their heroic personas. This poetics of Hades injects intense psychological realism into a genre that otherwise demands unwavering stoicism. By stepping into this unseen dark, Homeric heroes are freed from the very tradition they belong to, revealing an internal human reality that the bright light of the heroic age could only obscure.